Hey, how's it going everybody? I hope you guys are all enjoying your holiday season so far. Today I'm going to be washing my Yamaha TW200 and I'm going to show you guys how I like to do it. So I don't go crazy when I'm washing this bike, I just use some simple car wash soap. Obviously you're going to want a couple of rags. And I like to use two buckets, one for the soap and then the other bucket just to rinse off all the towels. For a little bit of touch up and shine, I actually like to use some WD-40. And for the chain, I use the Maxima Cleanup Chain Cleaner and the Bel-Ray Chain Lubricant. I also use a couple of scrub brushes like this, the chain brush, and then this is just to get in the hard to reach areas near the engine. To help me clean the chain, I like to remove that rear chain guard, and to do that you just need an 8mm socket as well as a open-ended wrench. And also one other thing I like to use, which you don't have to use, but it definitely helps, is I use that car jack over there, which I'll show you in a minute, just to put on the bottom of the skid plate and jack up the bike a little bit. This way I don't have to roll the bike when I'm trying to clean the chain, I can just spin the tire freely. And regardless of which bike I'm washing, whether it's this one or my Ducati, I try and wash it in the shade. I don't like to wash it in the sun just because the soap dries up really quickly and it can leave a bunch of marks on the paint. And before I go ahead and wet the bike, I'm just going to remove these 8mm bolts. And then the one that's back here is kind of hard to reach, so that's why I like to use this guy. So once you've removed these two bolts, just make sure you don't lose the washer or the split washer because they're pretty small. Just go ahead and pull this up and out. Just gotta wiggle it and it comes right off. And now you'll have much better access to the chain. Alright, and now I'm gonna go ahead and wet down the motorcycle. And when you're back here, obviously you make sure try not to spray directly into the exhaust pipe. Alright, so now that the bike is all wet, I'm just going to go ahead and fill one bucket with soap and then the next with water. Alright, and now it's time to scrub the bike, starting from the top, working my way to the bottom. And one reason why I got these rigids is they're 100% waterproof, so I don't have to worry about messing them up when I'm cleaning the bike. And to help scrub in those hard to reach areas, I'm just going to use one of these brushes. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and rinse off the bike. So the bike definitely looks a lot cleaner, but I'm going to go ahead and do one more round just because I know there's a bunch of dirt that's been stuck on there for a while and I want to make sure I get it all off. So for cleaning the rims, I just go around like that, and that gets most of the dirt. But you can also use your brush to get into the hard to reach areas. And don't forget about your skid plate. Alright, so now that I've got the bike pretty clean, I'm going to go ahead and bring over the jack the bike up, and start cleaning the chain. Alright, so when jacking the bike up, you obviously want to be careful. You don't want the bike to fall over. And you want the jack to be a little bit closer to the rear so it lifts up the rear first instead of the front. And obviously make sure it's nice and centered, and it definitely helps with two people, but you can definitely do it by yourself. Also, before you go ahead and lift the bike, make sure it's in neutral. And when I lift it, I like to hold my hand on the throttle, and that just helps me hold the bike a little bit better. Alright, so now that your bike is jacked up, I like to tilt the front wheel to the right. It just helps stabilize it a little better. And also you can even put some 2x4s underneath the kickstand. So now I just go ahead and take my chain cleaner, right there, and spray it on the chain while I spin the tire. Alright, and I just do one pass around. And sometimes when I spray the chain cleaner, I like to put a piece of cardboard behind the chain, just to help prevent it from spraying on the rim. So I like to let the chain cleaner sit on the chain for about a minute, and that just kind of helps break up all the grime. And then I'll use my chain cleaning brush and scrub the entire chain. And definitely make sure to get the bottom of the chain as well, because that's where it touches the sprocket. Alright, so I've passed over it a bunch of times, and I'm just going to go ahead and try and get the sprocket clean a little bit as well. And the reason I didn't dry the bike just yet is because I'm going to go ahead and spray off all that chain cleaner now. And you can see all that dirt coming off from it. And of course, if your chain is really dirty, you can go ahead and do that again, but I'm pretty happy with how mine came out. And while you have your chain guard off, it's a good idea to clean that as well. And before you go ahead and put this back on, I like to just take a spin around the block to let the chain warm up a little bit, because my chain lubricant adheres to the chain better. Also keep in mind that this piece right here is pretty important while guarding your chain, so you don't want to ride too far without it. Alright, once you've driven around the block a couple of times to warm up the chain, I like to spray on the chain lube. And I still have that cover off because it's a lot easier to do this. Just like that. And if I spray too much like I did over here, I'll just take a little rag and kind of spread it out. And as you can tell, it kind of adheres pretty well, but that'll distribute more as I ride. Alright, and now's a good time to go ahead and put that chain guard back on, and it just slides over the chain just like that. And obviously make sure it's not touching the chain or anything. And just insert your two 8mm bolts. If I can find where they go, there they are. And before you tighten this one all the way, just make sure that this one's lined up with the hole, because it can kind of be a pain. And I just snug these down. I definitely don't tighten them too much because it's just some plastic. And just double check to make sure it's nice and secure. And now that the bike is put back together and cleaned, I like to go over it one more time with a absorbent towel like this. Pick this up off of, I believe it was Advanced Auto for like 12 bucks. Alright, and the last thing that I do is just put the jack down and you're ready to ride. And I'll just turn the wheel back towards the left so it can fall back on the kickstand. And nice and slowly, let it back down. Alright, and so the last thing that I like to do, and I don't always do this when I wash my bike, but on occasion I'll use a little bit of WD-40 on any of the rubber or plastics. And this just helps keep it shiny and keep it a little lubricated. And I'll just spray it on a rag and wipe off some of the rubbers and plastics. And I like to clean and lubricate with some WD-40 the shock boots. And I see that these tend to fade a lot on bikes, especially if you keep it outside. So I just want to maintain them the best that I can. And if you really want your engine to be shiny, you can also put it on your engine. Alright, and that's basically it on how I clean my Yamaha TW200. There's certainly days where I'll just spray it off with some water, and then there's other days like today where I like to take the time and do a little bit of a deeper cleaning. And so now the only thing left to do is to go out and ride. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up, and if you have any comments or if you have any things that you would have added, definitely let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, ride safe.